All right, we're live here on the field, Mercedes-Benz Stadium, for part two of our Kroger Kickoff, getting ready for the Georgia Bulldogs, the LSU Tigers in Mercedes-Benz Stadium coming up at 4 p.m. We're about an hour away from kickoff. You see, and we'll see some of the Georgia guys, specialists mostly, on the field right now, going through some of their pregame traditions and steps and warm-ups. Just over here to my left is the tunnel where more Georgia players will be coming out in just a moment, continuing their workout process. The stands are open. Folks are coming in. No more than about 10% of the stadium filled right now. And thus far, a little more Georgia than LSU. Difficult to tell because as of right now, there's not really a whole lot of people in here as of yet. But a lot of Georgia folks kind of over this way, over that way. The Red Coat Band is all the way across the field to my left over there on that side. So the atmosphere, kind of a slow build for the start of the SEC Championship thus far. LSU players, their specialists are out here as well. You see Otis Reese, the Georgia safety over here, kind of going through some work, getting some stuff done. You see a couple other guys kind of doing some things right now, so not a ton yet in terms of excitement or, not a lot of guys on the field as of yet. We hope to be able to get a glimpse of DeAndre Swift at some point in time. We saw him coming with a dog walk today. Got a chance to see him as a part of the pregame walkthrough yesterday, and obviously to see if there's any indication visually of anything that DeAndre Swift might be dealing with when it comes to the shoulder contusion that he's been battling. There was no protective brace or kind of gear whatsoever with him yesterday, nor was there really the expectation they might be. This is not like a hand or an ankle or a knee, the kind of thing where even minor injuries typically come with some sort of wrapping. There's just not a lot of that when it comes to a shoulder because a shoulder wrap would be quite restrictive, quite limiting. And obviously, if you're Swift and you want to try to run the ball today, even with a hurt shoulder, you want as little mobility restriction as you can possibly get. So we'll hope to be able to see that from him. We do have a few minutes that we can be on the field. After that, we'll have to give way to the rest of the folks and let the actual game begin. So we'll be able to see if we can show you a glimpse of some of this in just a moment when the Georgia players get here. Also, we have a little bit more time for a few more comments. We'll get ready to take them on both Facebook and YouTube. We're on the field here at Mercedes-Benz Stadium for part two of our Kroger Kickoff, and we're really glad to have you with us. Let me pull up the Dog Nation Facebook page. We'll check in over there here just for a moment. You see the scene behind me there at Mercedes-Benz Stadium. Al Chandler getting excited, saying, let's get it on, go Dogs. And Al, I'd agree with you. I'm getting excited about the game as well. And this is one of those things where one way or another, if you're a Georgia fan, you just want to see how your team looks in a spot like this. And I'm sure many of you, and I know I've contributed to a lot of this, but after days and days worth of hype and build-up, there's also a certain extent of what is there left to be said? What is there left to be talked about? Let's just get out there and let these two teams play some football. And there'll be a chance to do that here coming up in just a couple of minutes. And a chance to show you some of the workout stuff as it goes on here from Mercedes-Benz Stadium. Dana Deaton checking in from Lizella, Georgia. Dana, appreciate you being a part of the program today. Good to have you here with us. Jared Choquet says, let's go Dogs. Time to eat, baby. Love to hear that. Harley Gentry checking in saying, let's go Dogs. Kent D'Agostani says that Swift injury is a hoax. It's meant to throw LSU off. So we'll find out about that. Georgia defensive coordinator Dan Lanning has just made his way onto the field. So maybe a few Georgia players aren't too far behind. Winston Mock asking about the color of the press pass. I don't think that's in any way related to the team that Georgia's playing today. Michael Daniels says, I'm ready for the game, but are we going to be okay for the offense in the first half? Yeah, Michael, it's kind of funny. Connor Riley's running the camera with me. He and I were talking about this a little earlier of if you're a Georgia fan, what's like the couple things you could see in the first half that would really make you feel like that Georgia was setting the tone for what it might be able to do all day long? And obviously touchdowns. I mean, that goes without saying, but is it DeAndre Swift getting a number of carries and showing himself to be healthy, or at least indicating that he's likely healthy? Is it Georgia finding some success with some wide receivers, given the fact that Lawrence Cager's injured and George Pickens won't be able to play for the second half? I think different Georgia fans might have different answers for that. Maybe for some, it's the opportunity to involve a guy that many Georgia fans have said they'd like to have seen more of, heard more from, a guy like, say, James Cook, for instance. Maybe we even have time to weigh in on a couple of comments with them in our comment section right now, what it would be that you'd want to see in the early going. We're less than an hour away, right here on this field, this game taking place. in those early stages, if you've got a few butterflies, if you're feeling a certain kind of way, what could you see from Georgia that might soften that down just a bit? We'll have a little bit more time for that for you, and hope to be able to show you some of the Georgia team when they get ready to make their way out here too, which should hopefully be in just a couple of minutes. I see Georgia Athletic Director Greg McGarity kind of peering in on the action. He's excited about what's going to go down later on today. We're, of course, glad to have all of you with us as well. As I check in on the Dog Nation YouTube page for a moment, your thoughts on what's going to take place here. Part 2 of our Kroger Kickoff. If you are watching this video, you missed the earlier iteration of our broadcast. We were able to be live inside the tunnel. We showed you the Georgia players getting off the bus and arriving, kind of a SEC championship version of a dog walk, a lot more muted. There's not the hugs, there's not the pats in the back. There aren't those things like that. It was just a good chance to see Georgia. Some good stuff. Kovacic Dobrina checking in on YouTube to say, how about Matt Landers making a big play? That's really been an interesting thing to be able to see. Joseph Hankey says, how about UGA 37, LSU 7? I just say, there will be some happy folks if it's 37-7, if Georgia's getting the win over LSU by that kind of margin. Fred F. says, the aristocratic BA. Well, I appreciate that. I'll take that as a compliment for sure. Thanks so much for that, Joseph. Or I should say Fred. Rob W. checking in on his birthday. So, Rob, happy birthday. I know there's nothing you love more today than to get a Dawgs win, and I hope you get just that. And I appreciate you checking in on your birthday, and hope you have a good time. Some cake and some candles and some food, and enjoy yourself today. Thanks so much. J. Lee 22 says, how about 30-27 Junkyard? You like the idea of that? Josh Outs would like to see something from Tommy Bush, who is back healthy again after dealing with an injury for a good portion of the year. We'll get a few more of your Facebook comments. We'll pop over to YouTube as well. Actually, let me stay on YouTube, and we'll go back to Facebook here in a moment. Hope to have more of the Georgia guys on the field in a moment. We may just have to give you a look at what we got here coming up in a minute, but I hope to have more of them. Rob W. says it's his birthday. He said he's trading the cake and candles for the cocktails. And, Rob, I'm sure there are a lot of folks making that same trade today, birthday or not. Huff says it's either going to be close or it's going to be a blowout. And that's obviously certainly something that could go down today. Georgia fans will take it either way as long as it leads to a UGA victory. SCC Dog checks in to say 30-28 for a Dawgs win. Tim Quinones checks in to say Tyler Clark from a defensive lineman like Clark, who's really had a sensational year. That would be a tremendous way for Georgia to send a big message in the early going of this game. I don't disagree with that whatsoever. I don't disagree with that at all. We've got about 5 more minutes. We're going to be able to be on the air, so we'll give you a look at what's going on the field. Why don't I step off and let people just kind of see what's going on? Just give people a chance to at least see that. Y'all are tired of looking at me as it is. So we'll kind of narrate the experience that is here. You'll look out towards the middle of the field, be doing some of their typical pregame work. They are typically speaking, yes, Rodrigo Blankenship. He's going to be right there in the middle, right in front of the SEC logo, across the field from where we're standing right now. If you'll look over to the right side of your screen, you can see the red coat band. That's where they'll be, just above the tunnel on the far side from where we are right now. Rodrigo Blankenship also kind of coming a little closer to us. Maybe we can get a chance to show off Rodrigo Blankenship here for a moment. The Georgia players arrived at the stadium several minutes ago. They've been in the locker room. Some of them have on pads and uniform. Football start to make their way out as you get a chance to see Rodrigo, the customary red. It's going to be a tight, closely contested game. for a popular figure like Blankenship, the opportunity to potentially kick a game-winning field goal. Imagine how that would add to the legacy. Sounds like we're having a little bit of video issues. I apologize for that. So why don't we do this? Let's take a couple more comments. There's no players in the field anyway. It sounds like we're having a little bit of a signal situation. All right, so looks like we're having a little bit of an issue. Let me just thank all of you for being with us on the show today, and enjoy the game. After the game, we got the Pella Window post-game show. Throughout the game, I'll be in the forum at forum.dognation.com. So tune in, check in. I'll see you after the game. Y'all enjoy the SEC championship. Thanks for being here as a part of our Kroger Kickoff.